We'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners for Washington County, June the 15th, 2021. A busy agenda with a lot of great things happening. So welcome to all of you, and please be assured we won't keep you too long. We always try to be brief, but today might go a little longer for several reasons. We have the pleasure of having two distinguished guests with us. Our invocation today will be by Elder James Hetrick, and we sure appreciate you being here. We can begin with that item, and then following him, it's our honor also to have Commandant Patrick Lisi here of the Dixie Detachment number 1270 of the Marine Corps. We are so grateful to have both of you here. And did I understand, James, you were also in the Marine Corps?
No, Army Special Forces.
Army Special Forces. Well, very good. Well, we'll begin with that invocation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you bow with me. Heavenly Father, as we convene this meeting, it's terribly important that we understand that this county does not belong to us. It belongs to you, and you have given us the privilege of living in it and governing it. It's important that we receive the wisdom through the Holy Spirit, that we have the right frame of mind that comes from serving the Lord, that as we make decisions, that we have wisdom, that we have your leadership, that we might be guided to decisions that would please you and be in your will. So Lord, I ask a blessing on everyone convened here. I ask for common sense, peacefulness, civility during this meeting, and that when it's over, that your will have been done. We thank you, Father, for this county that we live in. Because of your influence in this county, it is a great county, and we appreciate it. And we know that we are blessed. So thank you, Lord. Be with us today, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Hetrick.
And could you all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, can we be excused?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Back to the front.
Have a blessed and peaceful meeting. You're outnumbered.
Yeah. I see there's a lot of lawyers here. That's one thing's for sure. Okay. Thank you both. Our first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This is a means of expediting routine matters that come under consideration. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than requests to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda, which consists of item A, consideration of auditor-approved claims for payments for June 2nd, 2021 through June 15th, 2021. B, consideration of regular commission meeting minutes of June 1st, 2021. C, consideration of administrative adjustments, real property. D, consideration of administrative adjustments, personal property. E, consideration of applications for property tax abatement, which there are 3. And F, acknowledgement of publishing notice of adoption of ordinance number 2021-1178-0 and ordinance number 2021-1179-0 on Saturday, June 5th, 2021, and that is my motion.
And I'll second.
That's a motion and a second on our consent agenda without any dissenting items that need to be removed. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Our first regular meeting agenda item is as follows. First, we'd like to turn some time over to Cheyenne, our deputy clerk, for a presentation.
Okay. Well, to kind of preface that, we are recognizing our esteemed clerk auditor, Kim Hafen, and they do. And we kind of put together in our office just a little something for him to keep and have. And it's, if you don't know him and you don't work with him, some of the things might not make sense, but it makes sense to Kim, I'm sure. So that's the most important. So I wrote a little poem for him, so I'm going to read that. And then also Sarah Lloyd in our office put together an illustration. And so I'm just going to read what we have here. Roses are red because he pruned them for you. He's simply the greatest, but plain old Kim will do. A number accumulator, as he's known to some, while others know him as the gardening green thumb. From elections to tax sales, he's been the backbone, the only person to do it all without a cell phone. He'll be living the dream in the land of Pinto. A Utes flag will be proudly hung as his window. His absence will simply be hard to ignore, but the time has come to go beyond the door. And so this is from our office, Kim, to you, and we will definitely miss you, and your presence is going to be missed in our office. But I was telling him the other day that I feel blessed because I'm in his ward, so now I'm unfortunately going to have to go to church to see him, but that's fine. So, and then...
Wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Well, between Cheyenne and Sarah and Ricky, they're a creative bunch, and we certainly have appreciated all they've done for various people. Not to mention another creative soul. Nicole, will you take it from here?
Okay, so I don't have any grand poem, but that's why I have a great team. But we worked on putting something together for you. But I have here to play it, so I don't make a mistake. And let's see, I'm not as put together as Cheyenne, but I think this says it all.
Washington County residents should be grateful for the job that Kim has done. And he also did a great job mentoring and being a quiet influence on those of us who got to work with him. Congratulations and enjoy yourself, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate all that you've done to help me in my work. Thanks, and good luck on your retirement.
He's so genuine, and he really does care about the people in the county. I just think he's just kind of a wonderful man. I've really learned a lot from him.
I find Kim to be very compassionate and helpful. He wants to do a good job. He wants the people, he wants to serve the public in the position that he has. And he tries to do everything he can to help people, and does a great job doing that.
He is honestly the best boss I've ever had. Just his attitude and his willingness to help and to be there for us has just been amazing for me.
Being here for 10 years, I was Kim's first hire. It's been kind of fun just to grow with the office and
I'm fairly new to the county. I've been here for just over a year, and during that time I've learned so much with Kim. It's truly been a pleasure working with him.
I think Kim is just an overall goofball.
Number accumulator.
Numbers genius.
The money guru.
A financial wizard.
He hand cut all of our names out of little pieces of wood.
Brought a real Christmas tree for our office every single year.
Then he brought this crown. So this is the crown. So on my birthday, he came with this little necklace, he called it, and you hook your little glasses on the end, and then it goes, around your neck. So
There's some rose bushes out in the front of the building, and he'll come out and he'll trim the bushes in his inmate uniform.
So that's how he is. He's funny, he's friendly, and we'll miss him here. He's a great guy.
People might not understand, but if your house falls in arrears, it's the clerk's job to sell it at a tax sale. But Kim would never sell somebody's home at a tax sale because he's just too kind and compassionate. And so Kim has taken money out of his own pocket sometimes to help. He's that type of person. You can't say enough good about the quality of heart that Kim has.
My advice for Kim would be to pursue his dreams, spend time with his grandchildren, and do those things that will be most impactful for them, just as he's spent these past 20 plus years doing things that are impactful for the county.
He's worked hard his whole life, and he deserves to go and spend some time up in Pinto.
If any of the public is looking for Kim or has questions, Kim is there. Congratulations on the retirement.
He makes you feel so important. I just want to wish him the best. As he hits the dusty trail, I know, to Pinto.
We have so much to thank Kim for. I would wish Kim the very best in retirement, and just tell him that I hope that he comes around and gives us a hard time at the county.
He has this gift where he can have the most upset person in the whole world, and within 30 seconds you can hear him laughing.
He has such that fun-loving, wonderful personality. He's kind of a John Wayne kind of guy. Literally, the guy has the courage to speak up and stand up for what he thinks is right, no matter what.
We have tried to keep him on as long as we could, but in his decades of service, we understand. And it's time, while he's got great attitude and great health and great places to explore, why not? So we'll be sad to see him go.
He'll be missed, so wish him all the best. Kim's famous line whenever he leaves the office is keep on carrying on. So keep on carrying on, Kim. I know you're gonna have a great retirement.
There are some people that enter your life, and through their example, they change you for the better. And that is what Kim Hafen has done for me. He has made me a better county administrator, and I can say that I am honored on a personal note to call him my friend.
We'll make sure that is on YouTube for at least 3 years. Well, we're not done with you, Kim, and I know you're humble and you don't want to hear any more, but there's a lot of firsts that happen in the county, and tonight will be another first, because this thoughtful team has put together yet one more thing. And I can only say, to back up what Susan Arias said, Susanna, she said that he cares about every single person. And I can remember, I don't know, it's probably 4 years ago now, but somebody from New Harmony called and said, I've misplaced my ballot. And this was before all the electronic such and such. So after every effort was made to make sure that they could vote, that it was determined it was impossible to get them to come down here, and Kim took a ballot to them. And I think that's notable and shows his caring nature, that somebody could fulfill their civic duty when they felt that it was very difficult to do so, and it's a real tribute. So without any further ado, I'd like to say that for the first time in Washington County, we are giving an employee the key to the county. It has the county logo in the key, the commission office in particular, and then it says the following. Key to Washington County, presented to Kim Hafen, for being key in leaving the county in much better shape than he found it. May you have unlimited access to all of the doors beyond retirement, June 2021. And thank you, Kim, for all of your service. You won't fight us, will you, when we ask you to come up here and take a picture with us? Come on up.
It'd be really good. You'd be good at that. Mm-hmm. Didn't sound like you wanted to get talked
Right. Thank you.
I'm going to say a couple of things. First of all, most of that's a bunch of hooey. There are contrary opinions to all that you said. I'd like Scott Messel to stand up. So, you know, when I was a kid, I wasn't much, no, you stand right up there. When I was a kid, I wasn't much of a scouter and never involved with that, never earned any merit badges. But I was awarded a merit badge. Scott Messel awarded me this. It's called the Asshole Merit Badge. And so this is the first one that I've earned legitimately. So thank you, Scott, for that. You're all very kind, but I have just loved my time here. All of you and ones that came before you, and I'll miss you all a great deal. It's been a hard decision to do that. I say I've loved coming to work every day and associating with each of you and being a part of what the county does, and I'm anxious that the county continues to do all the good things that they do for the people that live here. This is a wonderful place to live and to grow and to raise your families, and I commend all those that help make it that way. So thank you all for the kind and inappropriate words that you've had to say.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say just a couple things. And if we started telling Kim stories, we'd be here all night. But, you know, my first thing is just to express my personal appreciation to Kim and how often, as a commissioner, I found myself in his office talking about budgets and issues. And I jokingly told him, not jokingly actually, that he's like the fourth commissioner, because really he was so critical, and it is critical to our commission. But there are two stories. One is the first time I saw him out there clipping the roses in his purgatory uniform. It was the white and black, and I knew that had been out of date for a little while. And I didn't see the patrol guys around, and I thought, did they leave one of their people here? And anyway, because usually they come in a group. And it took me a few minutes to realize, who is that person out there doing that? But another one happened probably about a year after I was a commissioner. And we had mentioned this tax sale situation that Kim gets himself involved in every year. And there was a lady in Washington. And Kim makes every effort to contact these people. And this lady lived in a little home that was on a rented lot, I believe. I'm not sure if it was a rented lot, but it was one of those little trailer homes. And he could not get her to respond to mail. He'd been over there 2 or 3 times. And I believe it was about on the 4th time she finally answered the door. And he finds that this lady had already packed all of her things up. She was convinced that her house was going to be sold. And Kim came into the office. He's like, hey, you know, I told her to unpack her stuff. We have options here. And it was at the time that he helped set up a payment plan for her. But I think that, to me, has always represented a story that I'll remember Kim by, is that, after the fourth time, literally going to that lady's house for 4 times, and then finding her home, she'd completely packed things up. She was convinced that the county was going to sell her property and come evict her. And I can only imagine the depression and concern that she had, and Kim was able to, rescue her from that situation. But that's only one example of many, that the type of person that Kim is. But he is a lot of fun. I know that story is kind of sobering, but to me it just represents the heart he has. But he has always been so much fun to work with and just be around. And he doesn't. I know that last year when I was chairman, he'd been voted Clerk Auditor of the Year. And so I like to make that known every time Kim was doing anything in commission meeting. And I think Kim really got to resent me for doing that. But he will always be the Clerk Auditor of the Year in my mind. I so appreciate him. And I said it because I really do love what he's done at the county. And the citizens of this county will probably never know how diligent he has been in his job as a clerk auditor, and the elections and taxes and just working for them. But thank you, Kim, especially for your friendship. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Victor.
I had just a little interesting take on it, and I take no credit for it. We had a clerk auditor retire, and at the time I was chair of the Republican Party. And under the state statute at that time, we had to come up with 3 names. And I remember working with my group, and we decided that we're not going to really put one qualified name forward and then 2 duds that would kind of tie the commission's hands into who they chose. Instead, we came up with 3 really good names. And for that, I will be forever grateful. Kim has just knocked the ball out of the park. He's been awesome to work with, and he's a wonderful personality. But Kim, your biggest influence on me is you've taught me more about compassion than about anybody I know. So thank you.
I've always thought that somebody retires from something, whether it's in the community or church or something, that they devote 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to what they really have done all their life. And it's kind of hard to just say, okay, on your way now, and we'll carry on. But there's a lot of history that comes with more than just a simple goodbye or a release of some sort. And so I know, Kim, that we first met over at then Dixie College, and it was a lot of fun then, and it's been a lot of fun to work with you these last couple of years. So again, from all of us countywide, and everyone will have their chance to express it to you in the next while that you're here, your own staff close by, as well as everybody throughout the county. Again, our not final, but a very poignant thanks to you for all you've done. And I look out every time at the new administration building going up, that it's been a lot of years, and every department, every office has contributed so that something like that can be built. And again, due to Kim's careful watch over the funds, that it can be built without new debt, new taxes, or any sort of borrowing, but rather from a very frugal and wise clerk auditor. So our big adieu here. Okay, let's just go home. Okay, a little work. Yeah, I heard some clapping back there. Yeah, let's leave. All right, well, thank you so much for all your contributions, everyone. Now let's spend some money. Our next item is purchase requests by Ray.
fair that I have to go right now. If you don't mind, can I say something?
Please.
I'm a crier, sorry. But Kim has had a profound aspect in my life. And I just want to tell him thanks. So now I need to compose myself so I can spend some money. Anyway. The first one I have here is for emergency services. This is a regional asset for Hurricane Valley Special Service District for ballistic vests and helmets in a total of $30,058. The next three I have are all for roads, and they are all pertain to the chipping projects on Old Highway 91 and the Sky Ranch area. The first one is for distributor charges, which include any layovers that they may have had. This is for a total of $15,272.50. The next one is for the paint, the actual paint for the restriping after the chipping projects were finished, for a total of $18,525.
It's actually harder than you think to find that paint.
If you would like, I can read the situation.
No,
It was St. George City really helped us out on this one. The next one is for the actual labor of the striping. And this is for $16,755.60.
Were they out there with brushes? Or?
No, it's the big painting
Yeah.
truck, you know.
I got it.
That's a lot of painting. Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion, if there are no questions, to accept the purchase request as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Ray, for that. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. We have a report in consideration of the 2021 Washington County tax sale by our star.
I've been up here enough as it is.
I'm glad you statutorily had to be here today, or you might not have shown up.
I shouldn't have shown up. I will say two things about things you said. You know, they took that ballot to New Harmony. Since I've been here, I have always been up for a road trip. So some of you know that. We've gone a few different places across the county, and some of these people have seen places they never thought they would see. And I have pruned the roses out front for a few years, but what I've discovered is when you're wearing that prison uniform, people won't chat you up very much. You know? People came by and I'd try to kind of work with them a bit, but they kind of kept their distance from me. So I guess unsupervised.
At least you didn't get pepper sprayed.
It was, yeah, at least that. So you have in front of you the report for the 2021 Washington County tax sale. You can see that there was 5 parcels that were sold. I think we started with 146, and those were the ones that were left that went to the sale. 3 of those parcels were sold, and 2 had no bids, and so they'll revert to county ownership in lieu of the taxes, and I'd recommend this, the results of this sale to you for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we adopt the report on the Washington County tax sale for 2021.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Kim. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. Kim, could you just explain what happens to the revenue from a tax sale?
Sure. So a property has to have delinquent taxes that are 5 years old, and they don't have to owe all 5 years, but they have to owe something 5 years old. So once that happens, those get in jeopardy of being in the tax sale. And once those, we go through all the things, we try to get them off. But when we get to the tax sale, the minimum bid in the tax sale is what's owed to the counties: taxes, interest, penalties, and a tax sale fee. And if that bidding then goes beyond the minimum bid, the excess goes back to either the person that lost the property or recorded lien holders. And we go through a process to get that money back to where it goes. So some people might think the tax sale is a profit center for the county. It's not. All we get is what is owed. Is that what you're referring to, Commissioner?
Yes, exactly.
So all that money, now the sale's been approved, we'll go through the process on, I think there's 2 parcels here that sold for more than it was owed. And so we'll contact the owners of record that lost that property. And if there are recorded lien holders, contact them as well to let them know there was excess funds, and those will be returned through the ordinance that we have to just get that back to the right folks. We don't keep any of that.
Thank you.
Kim, you might remember this one that was a rather funny tax sale, and I remember it when I was on city council, because we get reports of things that happen inside various municipalities that you're involved with. Evidently, over in the Black Rock condominiums, there had been a tiny parcel that when they consolidated all that land, skipped that one, and it had been, I think it was Utah Power and Light or somebody had a power pole there once, and it therefore had a separate deed to it. But they no longer had a power pole there. Now it was a fire hydrant as part of the whole project. I remember the person came in all excited because they had won the bid on purchasing that. Now, it was eventually reversed because they realized what they actually owned was about a 10-foot square piece of gravel with a fire hydrant in it. But I always kind of in my mind had this envisioning of the family getting together and saying, hey kids, we just bought this new parcel. Now, we're going to have a picnic out there and everything, and bring the dog because we've got a fire hydrant. But obviously, there's some funny little pieces that are part of this cleanup action that you do as well.
Yeah, really, it's always, I say I like the tax sale because it's kind of a fun process if it wasn't for the fact that people might be losing some property. But we do end up cleaning up a lot of mis-survey stuff, misrecordings, kind of things that just need to be fixed. And those kind of rise to the surface once somebody decides to quit paying taxes on something that they don't really want or own or whatever. So it does clear up some things, but it is, in some cases, people lose property. But in most cases, no parcels go to the tax sale that somebody's passionate about, because there's ways to keep those out.
Keep them around it, sure. Well, thank you.
I got one more comment on the tax sale. There's a parcel on here. It is the last one. There were no bids on it, so it's come to county ownership, and at some point, we'll be coming back to you this is actually in somebody's backyard, and they didn't know it was in their backyard until it was kind of too late to get through the process. So we'll be coming back to you to get that into the right hands. It's inside somebody's fence, and we'll come back and hope to get that in the right place.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, having said that, thank you, Kim. The certified tax rates for Washington County is also, Kim, item number 4.
Okay, so each year at this time, in Utah, county people have a calendar year that they work on. Municipalities work on a fiscal year, and so right now the cities are doing their budgets and so on, but now is the tax rate season. And we set these certified tax rates each year. And the way property tax works in the state of Utah is that a taxing entity can get the same amount of revenue that they got the previous year with whatever new growth generates. And that's just kind of how they operate. There's no built-in factor for inflation or anything. It's kind of the same revenue plus new growth. The new growth comes about when property changes its nature. So maybe this never happens in Washington County, but when a hayfield becomes a subdivision. That's kind of the thing that we're kind of talking about there. So each year they get a bit more money. It's because the nature of the property has changed. And so the county has certain tax rates as well. And the ones I have here for you today, there's 4 rates here. One for general operations, one for debt service, one for the library, and one for county assessing and collecting. In the case of the general fund, I'm asking that we would have the certified tax rate, which is the money that we would have gotten last year with the new growth. In the case of debt service, the county has 2 GO bond issues that it's still paying debt on. They'll be paid off relatively soon. But over the last several years, we have paid off the small one, which is about $368,000 with money that we have in fund balance. And I'm recommending that to you again. The amount on here is $1,345,225, and that is the debt service for the larger GO bond. And both of our GO bonds relate to libraries and COA construction, Council on Aging construction. In the case of the library, I'm recommending to you the certified rate. You can see there, rate and revenue. And in the case of assessing and collecting, over the last couple of years, I won't go into all the history about assessing and collecting, but the rate there, we've over the course of time has changed how, it used to be that we'd bill entities for the part that we play in assessing and collecting, and now there's a tax rate for it. And the rate that we have is collecting more than sufficient for our needs. And so the last couple of years, I've recommended to you that we take $250,000 less than we could take, both in 19 and 20, and I'm recommending that to you again in 2021, that would take a little bit less than we could, because we have more than sufficient for our needs. And the $250 that we're taking out of that is just essentially taking part of the new growth revenue. So we're still getting more than we got last year, but we're taking a little bit less of the new growth than we could. And I think it's both in the case of the debt service and in the case of the assessing and collecting, it's in the best interest of the taxpayers of Washington County, because that will be reflected directly on their tax bills, some reduction. I mean, $250,000 seems like a lot of money, but I mean, if that was mine, I'd take it and run. But spread across all the county, it's not a lot of money per person, but it's taking tax rates in the right direction and the direction they should go.
Absolutely.
That's my recommendation to you.
And Kim, some might say, well, gee, I have a pothole in front of my house. Why aren't they using that to fix that? Why don't you explain just how that's channeled and where it can be spent?
So a lot of the revenues that the county receives come with, I'd say, strings attached. They can only be used for certain things. Brittany's here, we get transient room tax. Those taxes can only be used for tourism-related projects. We get B&C road money. Those can only be used for road things. The assessing and collecting can only be used for those functions. It's particular to those functions, which is mainly the assessor and the treasurer, with some other things that aren't fully assessing, but they still have a part to play there. So it can only be used to do certain things. I will say, with the building next door, all the funds, including assessing and collecting, are paying a part of that to build that building, and we feel that's appropriate because they're going to occupy space there. So the fund balance that we have for that is going to be used for the space that they occupy, just like other funds are going to do in the new building next door.
Very good.
Well, appreciate that. And when you look at 3 years in a row, then that is a bigger number, $750,000. And it's a tribute to not only the good taxpayers of the county, but also how that is managed and spent. So those 4 rates that you've given to us, we realize that's a suggestion, but commissioners,
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
That's not your official last act, by the way. All right, our next item is consideration of ordinance number 2021-1180-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County at approximately 500 west and 200 north in Veo from A10 agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size zone to the RA5 residential agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size zone, hereinafter fully described in this ordinance. The applicants are Levitt Glen Cove subdivision in Veo.
Yes, Commissioners, the Levitts own approximately 100 acres at about 500 west and 200 north in Veo. They came in, requested a zone change to do a 6-lot subdivision on the northern part of the parcel or the property. The subdivision takes up about 53 acres of that 100, and just as part of the process, they needed to go through a zone change, and so they requested to rezone the property from A10 to the RA5, which is residential agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size. They're proposing 6 lots, and the lots are 8 acres in size. The subdivision is going through the approval process right now, but the zone change was reviewed by the Planning Commission, held the public hearing that was properly noticed in that meeting, and after holding the public hearing, they recommend approval of the zone change to the county commission.
Thank you, Scott.
What's the adjoining zone right there?
I need
Is
to look
that,
at
is
the
that
map.
our 5 acres?
No, there's, I don't have the key to what, oh yeah, I do. There's some RA1 to the
Okay.
north.
So clearly 8 acres is
Right.
in the neighborhood.
It fits.
Yeah, it fits. It's not like.
Okay, item number 5, a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We adopt ordinance 2021-1180-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County at approximately 500 west and 200 north in Vail from A10 agricultural 10-acre minimum lot size zone to RA5 residential agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size zone, hereafter fully described. That is my motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Scott. Your next item is consideration of ordinance number 2021-1181-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County at approximately 900 south, 500 east near New Harmony from A20 agricultural 20-acre minimum lot size zone to the A5 agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size zone, hereinafter fully described in this ordinance. The applicant are the leaders of New Harmony.
Yes, Commissioners, the Julie Leader owns a parcel that's just over 9.5 acres in size. It was zoned A20. She wants to bring the property into compliance, and so she has requested to rezone the property from the A20 to the A5. It was reviewed by the Planning Commission in their meeting, and after holding a public hearing, they recommended approval of the zone change. And I can go into more detail if you need me to.
Mr. Chairman, I'm familiar with this, but I think it's the right thing to do. I would make a motion in support of ordinance number 2021-1181-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County at approximately 900 south, 500 east near New Harmony from a minimum lot size from A20 agricultural acre minimum lot size zone to A5 agricultural 5-acre minimum lot size zone, hereinafter fully described in this ordinance.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Scott, thank you.
Thank you.
I just don't want you to be self-conscious about this, Scott, but it happens to you and everyone who stands there because there's a TV in front of the podium, that it's you, and then right in front of you,
two-headed,
it's
right?
like a mini me of everyone who stands there. It's kind of distracting, maybe only for me, but you looked good in that
Well,
shirt.
thanks, I appreciate that, yeah.
There's 2 of you. All right. Item number 7, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2783, resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and the Washington County Economic Development Corporation. We have several people listed here as who's going to represent this.
Well, let's see. I don't see Greg MacArthur,
either.
our director, so we must not have been able to get a hold of him. I think both myself and Commissioner Cox can speak to this. I'll just generalize it. Economic development is obviously something that's very important to the county. It's very important to our cities and our partners. And about 25 years ago, Commissioner Cox would probably remember better when Scott Hershey was first hired and brought on as an agreement with the county and multiple municipalities along with the university. He did a fantastic job at helping facilitate economic development in our county. There was a little bit of a transition over the last 4 or 5 years, and it went into kind of a nonprofit corporation. But it's important that we have that partnership with not only the business community, but also with the county and with cities. And so the agreement that we have before us has been one that they've been working on a while that will really help the Director of Economic Development for Washington County, who currently is Greg MacArthur, have a little bit more support from the county and several of our municipalities. And that's the agreement that we kind of have before us. And Commissioner Cox has been doing a fantastic job at representing the county on that nonprofit corporation, and I'll let him speak to it in detail.
And, it is interesting how things kind of make a circle. It was called the Washington County Economic Development, and it's gone through a few directors and name changes. But for it to be successful now, it seems as if Mr. MacArthur, who's doing an outstanding job, has to spend all of his time trying to recruit members to come up with membership fees so that we can keep the organization going. But if you spend all of your time doing that, then it's really hard to spend your time on your focal point, which is focusing on bringing new, higher paying positions into Washington County. And we're getting fussier. For example, if they use a lot of water, we're not going to really spend much time trying to recruit them. But this would bring that back under the county again, and in partnership with the cities for key funding so that he could do his job that he's been hired to do. And so I'll let you go ahead and make the motion to accept, and I'll second. Very good. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
1 second, Eric. Sorry, but before you make your motion, just quickly, Mr. MacArthur asked that we would report that he's actually traveling on business right now. His plane's in the air, so he couldn't even call into the meeting. He apologized that he couldn't make it today, and that's why he's not here.
Well, that's exactly what Dean said he's supposed to be doing. So, good timing. Sorry about that, Commissioner.
No, I knew there was a good reason why he wasn't here. He has been doing a great job, and as Commissioner Cox has pointed out. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution, Resolution R-2021-2783, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and the Washington County Economic Development Corporation. And I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Wonderful. Item number 8, consideration of resolution number R-2021-2784, resolution approving a community development block grant application agreement with the state of Utah for Angel Springs Special Service District.
I'd be happy to speak to that. We have never been, as a county, in the business of providing municipal services. And so we create special service districts to fill those voids. And I think a lot of that is because we believe that government that governs close to the people governs best. Angel Springs, this need for improvement really came to our attention during a zone change application. And we found out that even though the Water Special Service District had water rights that could be developed, they hadn't been, and their infrastructure hadn't kept pace with the growth of the area. And so they've applied for a CDBG grant that will help them bring that system up par, and I fully support that. And so I'll see if anybody else has a question before I make a motion to
No,
support it.
it's kind of pretty straightforward as far as this being a special service district, and that's the reason it's on our agenda, and this will definitely help their system. So
I would make a motion in support of Resolution R 2021-2785, a resolution approving social media wrong one. Consideration of Resolution R 2021-2784, a resolution approving a community block grant agreement with the state of Utah for Angel Springs Special Service District.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you both, and thank you for your comments on that requested item. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Now, number 9, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2785, a resolution approving social media advertising services agreement with Mason Converse Media. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Sarah.
Good afternoon. Just a quick background on this. As you may recall, as COVID hit early last year, in a precautionary move, we did a reduction in force. One of the positions that we lost had that big duty of social media. And so this position, well, this contract actually ended up being that big heavy lift of social media for the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. Mason Converse Media is the one that got that contract last year, and it's subsequently up at the end of May. So again, a new contract. This one would start June 1st. We're working in good faith right now as far as that goes. Mason has done a terrific job the past year, really doing everything we wanted on social media as far as increasing engagement, really increasing followers. Commissioner Cox has seen some of those social media reports in Tourism Advisory Board meetings, but really doing some great things on that front. And she has really dived in deep to everything that is and embracing everything that the county has to offer. So this contract is basically a repeat of what was there previously with a little merit increase, as well as some adjusted duties with her anticipated being in market a little more frequently and doing some more hands-on live type of things for social, et cetera. So any questions?
No, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy last year we also changed marketers as well. Cactus, putting them on pause, and so I think Mason came on at the right time. And of course, I haven't been involved in the day-to-day, but it's clear that with everything going on in the county, with 2 Ironmen in 1 year, we've needed to have all hands on deck. So, seem to be doing a good job for you.
Just because I've been present for those meetings, I would like to make a motion in support of R 2021-2786, a resolution. I'm always check mark in the wrong place. Consideration of resolution number R 2021-2785, a resolution approving social media advertising services agreement with Mason Converse Media.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. I think, Sarah, the next survey they do is not, hey, come to Southern Utah. Instead, it's, hey, who hasn't been here?
Yeah.
You know? We've experienced a lot of that explosive recognition, and in some of those meetings, and Commissioner Cox can attest to this, we're starting to reach back out internationally as well. Okay.
Maybe we should have people apply. We'll decide if we want you to come to Southern Utah.
Maybe they could bid on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we appreciate your
I
office.
saw that look, Kevin. You're like, hey, that's not what you hired me for. So
We
I'm just
appreciate
reporting
what you
back
do.
what the people are saying. Just
All right, fair enough. Thank you. Our next item is resolution number R 2021-2786, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Southwest Behavioral Health Center regarding the construction and operation of a substance abuse and mental health crisis center.
Mr. Chairman, we're fortunate to be joined here by our county attorney. It's been a year or so since he's been in that chair over there, and he's been very involved in this. I was wondering if he'd be willing to speak to it just for a couple minutes and explain to the public what this resolution is before us.
Sure, thanks, Commissioner. I was wondering why you guys were looking more nervous when I walked in and sat down for commission meeting today. It's like I was gonna come and get after you guys. The state in the last couple of years has started funding projects, and they have various names. You'll hear it called a receiving center, a crisis center. And And what the purpose of these are is that if someone is having a mental health episode, or if they are going through an episode due to a substance that they've taken, it's a safe place that they can go. They can get off the street or out of the house where they're at, and they can be monitored by professionals. And then before they leave, they generally should have a plan for how they're going to address whatever issue they have so that they're not coming back. It's something that is done in coordination with law enforcement. We've been talking with our law enforcement partners, and it's a situation where maybe a patrol officer shows up because he gets the call, and this person needs to be removed from the situation. Well, rather than pay to come and book them into our jail and have the jail deal with that person in crisis, law enforcement officer can go and drop them off at the crisis center. And quite often, you know, the reason they're getting picked up by law enforcement is because they're acting in a way that is unlawful. And if they're not willing to settle down and go into the crisis center, then they can go to the jail, and our jail folks are really good at handling that. But if they're willing to go in and just kind of get themselves back to a good place, and then make a treatment plan before they leave, then those are things that we can look at incentivizing that type of behavior by not charging them with a crime. And so hopefully in the long run, that helps people change. Rather than put them in a jail when they're in crisis, we can put them in a different environment. It should save taxpayer money long term, because jails it's cheaper to put someone in a crisis center where their insurance can help cover some of those costs, and it's a short-term center just to get them kind of back under control, rather than house them at the jail. And so hopefully it's a benefit to our community. I think Mike Deal's here from Southwest Behavioral Health Center, and so that the county would be building the building with state funds, and then Southwest Behavioral would be kind of operating the center in partnership with the county to address this need that we have.
I think, Mr. Chairman, something to be understood is it really gives our law enforcement people another option as they're out there interacting with people who might be in a very disruptive situation, but the only option that often law enforcement find themselves to offer is to haul somebody into jail. And so our jails really have become these crisis centers. And this will kind of maybe, in this resolution that we have before us, really is to enter into an agreement with behavioral health, Southwest Behavioral Health, who are the professionals, that they would be doing the staffing and being the operations side of this. This facility will be built near the DMV, so it'll be centrally located to the jail. I can see the conversations that might be going on between law enforcement and somebody who's being disruptive in a family situation or a setting where, you know, it's borderline there on disruption versus criminal. And as they're going to the jail, hey, we have options here for you. And those options could really maybe provide some skills or some resources to that person that would be different than just the jail, which needs to be reserved for our more criminal population.
I believe the state has a sound reason for wanting to help support the construction and operation of these, because oftentimes when someone cannot or does not abstain from substances that can cause their behavior to change, and they commit really, I'm going to call them acts of stupidity, pulling the power line out or the phone line out of the wall. If the only recourse is taking them to jail, oftentimes they lose their employment, because we're talking about people who are mostly employed, have families, and so the state ends up picking up welfare-related costs, social costs with that, and if we could keep that family off of the unemployment rolls and get the help that they need and not stain the record so badly. I mean, they're totally capable of repeating and staining it, but there's also a time when they're also redeemable. And so I think this will be a good thing.
Well, certainly there are those that, even family members that for their own safety and for the safety of the individuals, are glad to see the sheriff or a police officer come because it softens and gives the situation a better solution, but they also don't want them to go to jail. So there's no real option. Sometimes if it's a detox situation, they go to the hospital, but that's very expensive. And not always does insurance cover that. We have our sheriff and undersheriff here with us. Would you like to address this in any way, how this might aid in your cause, your work? Thank you, Sheriff Pulsifer and Sheriff Stanley.
We've been extremely supportive of this because we do deal with a lot of individuals that are in times of crisis, whether it's due to mental illness or drug-induced states and stuff. And quite honestly, at the jail, we don't have the resources necessary to provide these individuals with the support that they need to actually start to make a change in their behavior in their life. They get involved in the court system with all the legal stuff, even with the court support services, which has also been a big help. It still kind of muddies the waters into addressing the underlying issue. I'm thinking and I'm hoping that with Southwest Behavioral Medicine and this new program that we can actually start to work with people to address those underlying issues that's causing that moment of crisis and keeping them out of that court system. To me, it's just a huge thing that's going to really help our community.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Just one thing to add. During this COVID crisis, we've had a number of what I would call these events where officers on the street want to bring somebody to jail, but not because they want them to be incarcerated, because they simply don't have a better option. There's just nowhere else to go. And as of late, the Chief of Corrections and I have been talking about this option and realizing that it fills a niche that we currently don't have and kind of forces our hand to do maybe what we don't want to do. I don't want to take someone to jail and have them lose their employment. Ultimately, that's not good for them, and it's not good for me either. We want them to be able to retain that. And this, in light of all the things that are going on in the nation and law enforcement and police abuse of power and those kind of things, this is absolutely something that we need in a community to make sure that we have different options so that we can move forward in a much better manner.
Well, and you would agree, I hope, that the appointments or the visits that were set up by our county administrator, Nicole Felshaw, was valuable to see what others have done.
For sure.
Although this is going to be unique. I believe of all the ones that we toured and we saw, this will be even a step above.
This is going to be the best.
Yeah. And I think we should also stress that even though it's state funds and for operations and construction, the county already had land for this, and it's in an appropriate place. So our contribution is that land, and hopefully the state will recognize that their funds were already put totally to the construction of the facility and not the purchase of additional land, et cetera. Thank you. And
we look forward to this option.
Thank you.
Can I just, one more thing, Commissioner, sorry, but it's been fun to watch how many people are bought into this idea. And one of the people who has really been the leader of it, and she's here today, is Charmaine Gohl. And she runs our court support service program, and she's been super proactive on helping secure this funding from the state, on helping coordinate the visits we've done up north and seeing different places and how they're doing this. And I just think as we talk about the team that we're building and making sure we're kind of seeing this globally, it's involved our sheriff's office, it's involved several of our police departments, it's also involved Charmaine.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you, Charmaine, for that. Eric, would you comment on one other thing? Because here we're talking about helping someone who's in a moment of crisis, whether it's something with the abuse side of it or simply anger issues or any of the number of things. And granted, our sheriff and police are peace officers and not therapists, so they arrive on a situation where it's very difficult to ascertain just what should happen, and they have to decide fairly quickly. This will give another option, like Commissioner Iverson mentioned, but will you segue just for a moment to the CJC, because there's another story to all of this, and it may not be this exact receiving center or crisis center person that's there that directly deals with the CJC, but at least the message should be taken there that, yes, this funding is appreciated, but there are also victims that need funding as well. Can you just say a little bit about what the CJC does and why?
Anytime you give me the opportunity, I'll talk about that, right? So the criminal justice system, you know, the county does a lot of things. The county gets people that are doing bad acts, and the receiving center will be a way to kind of help those people hopefully change. The county incarcerates people, the county charges people, the county pays for defenders for public defenders for a lot of those instances. And all of that is aimed toward making sure that justice is served and hopefully reforming individuals, right?
Right.
All of those bad acts, well, not all of them, but most of the time those bad acts have victims involved in some way, shape, or form. And so another aspect of what we do in criminal justice is try to support victims. And in our county, all of our law enforcement agencies either have a victims advocate or share a victims advocate. We have a lot of really neat nonprofit groups in our community that are there to help people who are suffering the consequences of other people's bad acts. And my favorite, because it technically is part of the county attorney's office, is the Children's Justice Center, which focuses on children victims. Anybody under the age of 18 who is a victim of a crime, and we offer support for them. We really try to make sure that as many of those cases that can be prosecuted are prosecuted, that we're really going after people that are doing the bad acts. And then with recent things that we've been doing at that center, we're also offering support for the victims and their families. We have a therapist on site now. We're seeing super positive responses to that. We've partnered with the school district, and we send therapists into schools, because sometimes, you know, it might be a single parent situation where they can't go and pull the kid out of school and get them into therapy, but the parent's more than happy to let them see a therapist in school where the logistics are a little easier to manage. So our Children's Justice Center is seen as a model around the state for how those things are done and run, and is frankly bursting at the seams in their current space, and we're exploring different options to make sure that we can provide the services that we have a need for in our community to help those that are suffering from.
Well, and I only brought that up because we seem to find millions of dollars to build facilities to help those that need to be reformed through therapy or even jail time, but that it's not often in balance with what the victims need sometimes. And so more of a public service announcement is what I'm offering here, that we need to look at that side as well. And thanks to you, Eric, and your leadership, we are.
But Mr. Chairman, I think this really, for the public that might be participating via Zoom or watch this, they really need to know how much good our county sheriff has been doing, Corey Pulsifer, along with our attorney's office, Eric Clark, in just really pushing forward on this issue, because there is a reason why Washington County has a low crime rate. But a few years ago, for example, the state legislature passed what was called justice reinvestment, and we joked around about what that really meant. What it really meant is they lowered a lot of drug crimes. And so suddenly, rather than those people going into state custody, they stayed here at the jail, and it really kind of was difficult to deal with at first. And Washington County, I believe, is the one county in the state of Utah that really kind of stepped up and tried to find a solution there. And this is an example of that. Court support services is another example. I mean, Eric Clark has talked about the Children's Justice Center, which has been here for a little while, but also getting another interviewer on for adult victims of sexual assault, so that those interviews were done properly and effectively. So I think citizens need to know that their tax dollars are well spent in Washington County. I think it's 60-something% of our budget goes to either our sheriff's office or our county attorney's office, and they've done a great job. And thanks for letting me get on my soapbox there for a second.
No, it's a perfect soapbox. Thank you. Well, we've been on item number 10 for a while, and we certainly would appreciate a motion in that regard, unless there's any other comments.
Well, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2021-2786, a resolution approving an agreement between Washington County and Southwest Behavioral Health Center regarding the construction and operation of a substance Abuse and Mental Health Crisis Center, and that's my motion.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second. Appreciate that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. And thanks to everyone involved. Thank you, Sheriff. Item number 11, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2787, a resolution approving an agreement with MRW Design Associates, Inc. to complete engineering and architectural designs services for Washington County Emergency Services and Legacy Park Building.
Thank you, Chairman. So with COVID that's happened and struck us all over the last year and a half or so, the county has purchased a lot of medical equipment and supplies for our Emergency Operations Center, as well as most of the SSDs that we have throughout the county. It has come to our attention that we did purchase quite a bit, and our storage area is shrinking. And we sort of thought about like what were the needs. If we're spending money, how do we take care of it wisely? And we really are in need of storage. We also purchased a lot of equipment for Legacy Park for them to be able to continue to social distance and everything through COVID. So storage needs are really up there for us at this point. So we first thought of a location, what's maybe a more centralized location. Where do we have land? Land is pretty sparse for us. And we recognize that we do have land at Legacy Park. And not only would that help centralize kind of like the medical supplies and equipment for EOC and Hurricane Valley Fire and other SSDs, but it also would be a good storage area, obviously, for Legacy Park. So then it came to my thoughts of the last building we constructed there, which was the Grafton building, which was constructed very well. We had the architect, MRW Design, did all the architectural design work for that. And so I reached out to MRW to see if they had interest under professional services for us to potentially secure them for this building. It's going to be about a 12,000 square foot building with additional 1,500 square feet of wood framing, and that would be more for like a conference room, training room center, really for EOC, and it can bleed into the needs at Legacy Park as well. So what's before you today is a recommendation to secure MRW Design for basically architectural, structural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical design and engineering for a new building at Legacy Park that will be mainly a storage building and then a training facility as well.
Very good.
Thank you for the explanation. Comments? Any?
Mr. Chairman,
very needed.
I'd just like to thank Nicole for her diligence. She's herding cats and is very good at it. With our building going up, she's also looking to solve other problems. I don't know if Mayor or Chief Bullman would complain too much if we came up with some extra space to store some of their stuff if they needed it too. But it's important that these supplies stay safe, stay stable, and be recirculated and used as necessary so that they don't expire. And Nicole has just been right up on top of that.
And along with this storage, there will be some training space because our county works with our 5 neighboring, as a 5-county association. We do a lot of training. This will provide kind of an opportunity from time to time for classes to be there at this place where we have the equipment. So that's also a part of the design. Sure.
Okay. Well said and presented.
I'll make a motion in support of resolution R 2021-2787, a resolution approving an agreement with MRW Design Associates, Inc. to complete engineering and architectural design services for Washington County Emergency Services and Legacy Park Building.
And I will second that motion.
Wonderful. Item 11, a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 No opposed? Passes. We have some commissioner reports to do.
Oh, I think we have one more item, item 12, right there.
Oh, I don't have that. Okay, I don't have that on my paper.
Flip your page over.
Flip your page over. Oh, I think you might be on the
I have
old
the
agenda.
disappearing ink one. You know, does anybody have any lemon juice I could put on my paper? All right, consideration of resolution number R 2021-2788, a resolution selecting architecture and contracting firms for a new substance abuse and mental health crisis center. No wonder they're in the back row.
I was going to say we still have plenty of people in the audience, so they're here for something. So as we mentioned in a previous resolution, the resolution R 2021-2786, we discussed the need for, excuse me, a receiving center for a short-term crisis care facility for individuals dealing with mental health or substance abuse crisis. And partnering with behavioral health, Eric did mention that that we were going to look at constructing a receiving center, and the county would be responsible for the construction of that, and then we'd partner with behavioral health in the operations. So with that process, it then kind of turned over to me as a project manager for that. So we did work to send out an RFQ, a request for qualifications. That process is pretty lengthy. We've been doing it over the last couple of months. I can tell you we have some great talent in this county and beyond. We did do a design build method is what we were searching for. We received 4 statement of qualifications that were excellent. I then created a multidisciplinary panel composed of various stakeholders, and we met and reviewed each one of the submittals and evaluated each of the criterias and gave each one a final score. And we could certainly have followed up with interviews, but the multidisciplinary panel came up with a unanimous decision, and so interviews we did not feel like were necessary. You know, I can say that with a design build method, there's so many people that are qualified, so sometimes it really does come down to our RFQ process and the way that they followed it, the required documents that they have to submit very carefully and really read through everything that we're requiring of them. And what's coming before you today is a recommendation for Watts Construction and MRW Design to team up as a design build team to construct the receiving center. They had an excellent proposal, and again, I think most of the panel is here today, but it was unanimous.
Very good. Thank you for that explanation.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2021-2788, a resolution selecting an architecture and contracting firm for a new substance abuse mental health crisis center, and I believe that is MRW Design and Watts Construction. Is that correct? That's my motion.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Thank you. Thank you for your team that's here, and anytime in July when you have that done, we'll come out and
cut the ribbon.
Cut the ribbon.
Yes.
No pressure.
Yeah, that's July of 21, not 22. Okay. As Eric explained, our county attorney, you know, this need is immediate, so we appreciate the schedule you'll be on and getting that work done. All right, now Commissioner's report or any department updates.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a motion that during the months of summer, we should not wear coats at our commission meeting. Awful hot.
And send a memo to the attorney's office beforehand.
I was going to wear my suit today, and then I just realized it was going to be like the surface of the sun out there, and I appreciate you taking one for the team, though. You look awful sharp.
Thank you, and you never know when you might be invited to something that would be appropriate for. Very good. Actually, I have a short sleeve shirt on that's got a Hawaiian design. I'm kidding. Okay. Good motion. Anything to report, Commissioner Cox, that you'd like to talk about?
I don't.
Okay, well, I can assure everyone that the work of the county goes on, and we could always stay here an extra hour saying what we accomplish in every day. But this broadcast will be broadcast, this meeting, on TDS cable channels 22 and 108 at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. They're also available on demand at youtube.com/community education channel, and we appreciate the CEC for being here from the university and helping us out to get the word out to everyone here. Thank you for your time and attendance, and again, Kim, thank you for all you've done for the county. We're adjourned.